Oh. Hello everyone, my name's Trapixium, and this week we have quite the treat. I recently got a hold of a novella called Children of the Nameless. This week, we are looking at the Lord of the Manor, Lord Greywater, otherwise known as Davriel Crane.
Trap? Why are you dressed up?
Because, I'm going to be talking to an actual gentleman today, and, I will not lower myself by being outdressed by a normal human.
But you are a human. The only difference between you and the schmuck down the street is I'm in your head.
Looks like we'll have something in common. Let's get on with it. The Lord of Greywater is known by many names. Matter of fact, the name Davriel Crane may not even be his real name. We don't know much about him, but what we do know is simply amazing. You see, Davriel is centuries old, according to the timelines. Davriel is pre-Mending, and I theorize he's been around since Dominaria's Elder Dragon War. Much of that is unknown, much less where he came from. What we do know is wherever he came from, Davriel's origins are rather uninteresting. Davriel was an accountant working ledgers for a partnership on some random plane. His story gets a bit more interesting when he comes across a dying man, and from inside that man's body, something attached itself to Davriel's mind. That thing is what's called a world soul. World souls are exceptionally powerful beings, essences that are essentially the souls of planes. Think on the level of Progenitus from Alara, Matselesnia from Ravnica, or even the Weatherlight's Power Stone core, which is powered by Serap's realm. World souls are no joke, and there is one in Davriel's mind. With this power, Davriel gained the ability to planeswalk without having a spark. Davriel spent years traveling as a result, exploring the multiverse and all of its wonders. He probably knows it better than most planeswalkers. We have confirmation that Davriel has been a slave. We also know he's probably killed whoever he served. Davriel has been a leader before, and also, much like Urza, waged a massive war only to wipe out both sides using a truly horrifying power. For Urza's case, the Silex. In Davriel's case, he used the power of the World Soul, which he refers to as the Entity.
That's stupid.
Shut it. With both sides decimated, Davriel knew something was coming. He theorized it was someone who was close to the man who originally held the World Soul. My theory is Eldrazi. So, in fear of them finding him, fled. Davriel decided the best way to make it so he would never be found was to simply disappear. Whoever he was died on that plane with the explosion. He changed his name, his appearance, everything about himself so that he could hide. He faded into obscurity and traveled to Innistrad. Innistrad was perfect for a man of a newly christened Davriel Crane skill set. In his travels, he managed to become quite good at hunting demons, and consorting with them was just as easy as killing them. Good thing hanging with demons on Innistrad is something half the populace does anyway. Davriel decided to settle in the approaches in Kessig. Secluded, lack of angels, and a definite lack of Cathars. All Davriel had to do was walk in, depose the local lord, and he would be in good shape. He did exactly that when he moved into the approaches and removed Lord Vast. A freaking Markov. Now, Davriel needed to lay low, and since he was in the middle of nowhere, on a plane that was already in the middle of nowhere, well, he was already sitting pretty. Since there weren't many angels in the approaches, their madness was never witnessed in the area. Davriel completely missed Emrakul's arrival on Innistrad and just kept to himself, until local events took his interest. A lady by the name of Tacenda who accused Davriel of attacking her parents, killing her sister, and Geists draining the souls of villagers in Versalin. The two met by very aggressive circumstances, to say the least, by Tacenda stabbing Davriel with an ice pick. But once Tacenda realized Davriel was not behind the attack and was interested in clearing his name, and also restoring the peace and quiet, she decided to help him find out who did all this. Their research pointed them directly to the Church of the Nameless Angel, a religious group that was unaffected by the Geists. The only thing that made them susceptible was a betrayer that let them in. Only the priests could stop them. Davriel theorized that they came from the bog and reasoned that Tacenda was far more powerful than what she seemed. You see, Tacenda couldn't, she was blind, but only during the day, and she used music music to protect herself. Yes, she was a song mage. Davriel tried to take her magic, but failed to do so and tried to figure out if she also had a world soul in her. Tacenda didn't know. Davriel's world soul knew though. She only had half of one, half conscious. It couldn't speak to her. As it turns out, most of the power was hidden in the bog. The world soul inside Davriel urged him to take Tacenda's power to become even more stronger. Davriel refused and took Tacenda to the bog where they theorized the world soul was. The pair found nothing, but instead were found by Tacenda's supposedly dead sister, Willia, completely alive and controlling the Geists. Davriel and Tacenda were forced to flee, and the pair decided to stop by a small monastery and hide, only to find the body of a nameless angel, the same one that was being worshipped by the church. It was racked with the influence and madness of Emrakul. Somehow the angel's soul was still in the monastery. It encouraged Tacenda to use a new song. Using this newfound ability, Tacenda killed Willia and absorbed her half of the bog entity. Tacenda was overcome by power, and it was at that point Davriel was urged by his world soul to take her power for himself, to become an unstoppable being of immeasurable proportions. Davriel didn't want this and refused. Tacenda vanished and Davriel went home. Now, that is normally where I would conclude Davriel's story, but I want to take the time to go over Davriel's abilities, considering he isn't a conventional planeswalker. Planeswalker isn't even the correct term, because he has abilities not all planeswalkers are capable of. Aside from the existence of his spark being up for debate, what he does have is his entity, a world soul. It may have provided him with the spark or gave him the ability to planeswalk. Either way, Davriel can draw upon the power of a spark of his own and use it in tandem with the world soul. Davriel is capable of healing himself from minor to mild wounds. It's unknown if he can do mortal wounds, but the fact that the last man who had the world soul was dead, probably not. Davriel can copy the spells of others, and he himself has a very deep reservoir of spells. I also theorize he's capable of telepathy. Lastly, I must address his knowledge of demons. He is an adept at killing and writing out contracts to his own benefit. When we meet Davriel, he has contracts with 5 demons, but he isn't in debt to them. Rather, they serve him until they can reap his soul, which the contract always has some form of restraint that prevents them from doing so. And with that, we have Davriel Crane, a man who is incredibly powerful, far more than any planeswalker. A gaggle of demons, a malevolent voice in his head granting him more strength than we can imagine, and a gifted mage, who as it turns out will be on Ravnica in a few months. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, hit that like button, and if you want, tell me what you think of Davriel. Is he interesting? Could he make a difference on Ravnica, do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and until next time, may the Lotus watch over you.